I never imagined betrayal would enter my life so quietly. It didn't arrive with shouting, broken windows, or stolen jewelry. No, it came softly. It tiptoed in, on familiar footsteps, with polite smiles and warm greetings. It came disguised as someone I welcomed into my home, someone I hugged on holidays, someone I trusted because my daughter loved him. It came as Mark my son-in-law. The first crack appeared on an ordinary Tuesday morning. I opened my wallet to pay the gardener and frowned when I noticed a $20 bill missing. It wasn't a big amount, nothing dramatic, just enough to make me pause. I brushed it off quickly. "Evelyn, you probably used it yesterday," I murmured to myself. After all, I'm in my late 60s. I sometimes forget where I leave my reading glasses, and I occasionally misplace receipts or shopping lists. This could easily be another absent-minded moment, but the unease remained. Days passed, and small amounts kept disappearing. A 10 here, a 20 there. At first, I blamed myself. I told myself I must have spent it without remembering, or maybe I'd tucked it into another purse. But deep down, a quiet worry grew roots. The second crack came one weekend when Lily and Mark visited for lunch. Lily was in the kitchen helping me prepare the table. Mark lingered in the living room, pacing slowly, hands in his pockets, eyes drifting around the room like he was taking inventory. He didn't know I was watching. He paused by the hallway by my bedroom door. For a moment he reached out as if to test the knob, but when I stepped into view, he snapped his hand back and pasted on a smile. "Need any help, Mom?" he asked lightly. Mom, he'd only started calling me that recently. Before that, it was always Evelyn or Mrs. Grant. The sudden sweetness felt almost strategic. "No, thank you," I replied, forcing a smile. He nodded, but his eyes flickered toward the hallway again. The third crack came a week later. I opened my dresser drawer to put away some laundry when I noticed my wallet slightly out of place. It wasn't where I usually left it. The leather strap was halfway open. My heart dipped. I hadn't touched it since the previous afternoon. An uncomfortable realization bloomed inside me, like a bruise forming under the skin. Still, I scolded myself for thinking such dark thoughts. I loved my daughter. I loved her husband. They would never ... But then I remembered the new watch Mark had flashed at the last family dinner. The one he got on sale. Despite his constant complaints about money, the car repairs he claimed he needed, though he somehow managed to buy a whole set of new tires just last month. And the way Lily had looked thinner, more tired lately, eyes puffy like she'd been crying. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to see it, but it was there, unmistakable, like cracks spreading through glass. One afternoon, when Mark visited to check on me, I decided to watch him closely. I faked a phone call and stepped into the kitchen. The moment I left the room, his behavior shifted. His shoulders tightened, and he tilted his head toward the hallway, with the alertness of a fox, listening for footsteps. Then he moved quietly, too quietly. I peeked from behind the kitchen door. He walked toward my bedroom again, slow, calculating, as if drawn by a magnet. My chest tightened painfully. I didn't confront him, not that day, not when he returned moments later, pretending to have been reading the newspaper, not even when he hugged me goodbye with too much warmth. But when the door closed behind him, I locked it and leaned against it, breathing hard. The denial finally began to crumble. This wasn't aging. This wasn't forgetfulness. This wasn't coincidence. This was a pattern, and patterns don't lie. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the shadows on the wall, and whispered the truth I could no longer avoid. Someone is stealing from me, and I think it's Mark. The words tasted bitter in my mouth. I wanted to be wrong. I prayed I was wrong. Because if this was true, if the man my daughter loved, a man I treated like family, was sneaking into my room and taking money from me, then the cracks in my world weren't small anymore. They were fractures, and they were spreading. The human heart always knows the truth long before the mind is ready to accept it. Mine had been whispering warnings for weeks, but I kept pushing them aside until the day the whispers became undeniable. It started with a decision made in quiet desperation, born from sleepless nights and the weight of not knowing. Asterisk, asterisk, I needed proof. Asterisk, asterisk, not suspicion, not intuition. Proof, because without proof everything could be explained away and everything could fall apart. So, one morning, while the sun was still stretching its pale light across my bedroom floor, I opened my safe and withdrew 6 crisp $100 bills. My fingers lingered on the paper as though memorizing the feel of them, the value, not just in money but in truth. I placed the $600 in my wallet, but not neatly. No, I did it intentionally, the edges slightly uneven, a corner tucked down, one bill curved upward. Anyone who touched it would disturb the arrangement. The trap was set. I placed the wallet in the top drawer of my dresser, pushed it closed, and stood there for a long moment, feeling strange, like a hunter setting bait for someone who should have been family. A part of me hated myself for it. Another part of me felt an awful sense of relief, because now, finally, I would know. Mark arrived around noon, not with flowers, not with groceries. No, he came with that new false warmth he had perfected, the kind of smile that looked like it had been practiced in a mirror. "Mom," he greeted me, arms open, "just checking in. Thought I'd see how you're doing." He had been visiting a lot lately. Too much, his visits had gone from friendly to suspiciously timed, always when Lily was busy or stressed, always when I was alone. I offered him tea, which he declined. He wandered instead, like he always did, round the living room. His eyes skimmed over shelves, photos, drawers. He wasn't looking at the Dacre. He was looking for opportunity. "Feel free to sit," I said, keeping my tone calm. "Oh, I'm okay," he replied, waving it off, "just stretching my legs." But his feet didn't move randomly. They carried him inevitably toward the hallway, toward my bedroom, and that's when the air in my lungs tightened. "I'll be right back," he said with casual ease. "Mind if I use the bathroom?" "Of course," I said softly. But the bathroom was 2 doors down. My bedroom was the first. I listened. His footsteps passed the bathroom door and paused at my bedroom. A faint click of the doorknob, a soft creak as the door pushed open, then nothing. Silence thick, heavy, revealing. I clenched my hands in my lap, fighting tears, fighting anger, fighting the boiling ache of betrayal. I wanted to storm down the hall, flip the light on, and scream at him. But I stayed rooted in place, because this was the moment I had been preparing for. And I needed to be sure. Minutes dragged by like hours. Then I heard the drawer close. His footsteps returned. He reappeared in the living room, wearing a smile that no longer fooled me. "All set," he said lightly. "Everything okay here. Everything is fine," I replied, matching his smile with my own quiet deception. He hugged me before leaving an embrace that felt like a theft in itself. When the door closed behind him, I waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3. Then I walked to my bedroom. The drawer wasn't fully closed. My wall, it was angled differently. My hands trembled when I opened it. The money, my carefully placed bills, was disturbed, and $300 was missing. A sound I didn't recognize escaped me. Half a gasp, half a broken sob. I sank onto the edge of the bed, the wallet hanging from my fingers. This was my confirmation, not imagination, not forgetfulness, not paranoia, truth, cold, solid, devastating. Mark was stealing from me, from his wife's mother, from a woman who had welcomed him into her family with open arms. My thoughts spun, gathering every moment I had ignored, his too quick excuses, his new expensive things. Lily's hidden tears, his growing resentment toward money conversations, his wandering eyes every time he entered my home. It all fit now like puzzle pieces that had finally clicked into place. I pressed a hand over my chest, trying to steady my breathing. The room seemed smaller, suffocating. My heart hurt in a way I hadn't felt since the day I lost my husband, this strange mix of grief and betrayal and anger that sat like a weight on my ribs. But even as tears slipped down my cheeks, something else rose within me, a resolve. I wasn't going to confront him with nothing but words. I wasn't going to plead or argue or accuse. If he had turned my home into a hunting ground, then I would turn it into a battlefield he couldn't escape. I wiped my tears. I opened my laptop, and I began to plan. Because now that I had confirmation, the next step was simple. Catch him in a way he would never forget. There is a special kind of silence that exists right before truth reveals itself. Not peaceful, not calm, but electric charged with tension, like the air before a storm. That was the silence filling my house the night I decided everything would end. For days after confirming Mark's theft, I lived in that strange emotional limbo between heartbreak and resolve. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized something painful. He wasn't going to stop. Not on his own. Not out of guilt, and certainly not out of love. So the trap I set wasn't improvised or rushed. It was meticulous. I purchased a small, discreet camera, barely bigger than a thumb. I tested it twice to ensure it captured both audio and video. Then I tucked it behind the curtain facing my dresser. Next, I placed an envelope stuffed with cash in the top drawer, not hidden, not subtle. It was practically an invitation, the bait. Then came the final touch. I moved my rocking chair into the corner of the room, behind the half-open closet door. I plugged in a small nightstand and lamp with a switch connected to a remote I kept clenched in my hand. Everything was ready. I wasn't, but justice doesn't wait for emotional readiness. It arrives when truth must be seen. ****. The house went still. ***. The hours passed with agonizing slowness. The clock ticked. The refrigerator hummed. My heart beat so loudly I worried it would give me away. I sat in the darkness, knees drawn under a blanket, my breath shallow. I reminded myself again and again, ***, you deserve the truth. Lily deserves the truth. He deserves the consequences. At 11:46 p.m., the front door clicked open. No knock, no greeting, no hesitation. He used the spare key. My daughter's spare key, taken without her knowledge. The footsteps were familiar, measured, soft, predatory. This wasn't the walk of a man checking on his mother-in-law. This was the walk of a man who thought he owned the place. My back straightened. My hand tightened around the remote. He approached the bedroom hallway. I could almost see his outline in my mind, shoulders hunched forward, head tilted to listen for any sign that I was awake. He paused outside my door. My pulse pounded in my ears. Then, slowly, the door creaked open. A thin slice of moonlight spilled into the room, outlining his figure. His movements were smooth, practiced. He had done this before. Many times. He didn't bother turning on the light. He didn't whisper my name. He didn't check if I was asleep. He went straight to the dresser, my dresser. He opened the drawer. I held my breath so tightly my lungs burned. He saw the money. He reached for it. His fingers brushed the envelope. I pressed the button. ***, click. ***, the room exploded with light. Mark froze like a man caught stealing oxygen. He spun around, and the moment his eyes landed on me, hidden no longer, sitting in that rocking chair, his face drained of color. But then the real horror struck him. His gaze shifted behind me. Projected onto the wall, illuminated by the lamp, was the paused footage from the hidden camera. ***, a clear image of him rummaging through my drawers during his previous visit. ***, his lips parted. No words came out. He looked like a drowning man searching for air that didn't exist. My voice came out steady, far steadier than I felt. *'Good evening, Mark.*' The remote trembled slightly in my hand, but my face remained firm. He swallowed hard. *'Evelyn, why are you sitting in the dark? You know why. I answered calmly. He took a shaky step backward, bumping into the dresser. His eyes darted to the projection again, then to me, then back to the money in his hand, as if realizing he was still clutching the evidence. He dropped it like it burned him. Listened, I can explain. No, I said quietly, you can't. He opened and closed his mouth, struggling. Please, this isn't what it looks like. It looks, I said, rising from my chair, like you broke into my home at nearly midnight. It looks like you opened my drawer and took an envelope full of money. It looks like you've done this before. His chest heaved. He looked toward the door like a trapped animal contemplating escape, but he didn't run. He couldn't. I stepped closer, steady on my feet. Do you want to know what I think? I asked softly. He didn't answer. I think you believed my age made me blind. I think you believed your charm made you safe. And I think you believed money meant more to you than integrity, honesty, or family. He crumbled, literally. His knees hit the floor as he collapsed, hands covering his face. Sobs, loud, broken sobs tore out of him, echoing off the bedroom walls. Please, Evelyn, I'm so sorry. I just needed money. I didn't know what else to do. Please don't tell Lily. There it was, not guilt, not shame, fear of losing the one thing he still cared about: control. I felt no pity, no softness. He had stolen my trust and violated my home. This moment was not for comforting him. This moment was for ending him. I walked to my safe and unlocked it slowly. Mark looked up, eyes red and wide with terror. From the safe, I pulled out a folder, neat, organized, devastating. Inside were printed screenshots of every theft, the timestamps, a log of missing cash, a drafted police report, and divorce papers with Lily's name at the top, His breath hitched when he saw them. What is that? He choked out. The truth, I replied, and the consequences. His body sagged as if the weight of the world crushed him. And I wasn't done. For a long moment neither of us moved. The only sound in the room was Mark's uneven breathing, sharp, jagged, desperate, like a man realizing he was standing at the edge of a cliff he'd carved with his own hands. I held the folder against my chest, not to steady the papers, but to steady myself. This wasn't a moment of triumph, not for me. This was a moment of necessary justice, painful, heavy, and long overdue. When I finally spoke, my voice was quiet, almost gentle. Stand up, Mark. He didn't. He stayed on his knees, eyes wet, hands trembling. Please, Evelyn, he whispered. I know I messed up, but I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just needed some cash, just a little. I swear I was going to pay it back. I let out a small, humorless laugh. Then, why did you take hundreds, not 20? Why did you keep coming back? Why did you sneak into my house in the middle of the night? He wiped his face with the back of his hand like a child caught stealing cookies. But this wasn't a child. This was a grown man who had abused trust with the precision of a thief and the cowardice of a liar. I panicked. He said, I made mistakes. But please don't show this to Lily. It will destroy her. His words were a knife sharp, twisting. Not because he was right, but because he never once cared about the destruction he caused her behind closed doors. I stepped closer, close enough for him to see that the softness in my eyes had been replaced with something stronger. I'm not the one who destroyed her, I said. You did that all on your own. His lip trembled. Evelyn, please, I love her. Love doesn't steal, I replied. Love doesn't sneak into her mother's home while she sleeps. Love doesn't bleed trust dry. He dropped his head, shame or fear, maybe both, pouring off him like sweat. Then I opened the folder. One by one, I laid the pages on the bed beside him. Asterisk the camera stills asterisk the dated logs asterisk the printouts of the previous theft attempts asterisk the photo of him, clear as day, reaching into my dresser drawer asterisk the drafted police report asterisk and finally, divorce papers with a signature line waiting like a verdict mark stared at them with hollow eyes. What do you want? He whispered. Accountability, I said. And silence. After tonight, you will walk out of this house and out of my daughter's life. You will not argue. You will not manipulate her into defending you. You will sign these papers, and you will disappear, he gasped. Disappear, Evelyn I can't. The house, the bills, my job, everything you're afraid to lose. I said, you lost the moment you stole from me. He reached for the divorce papers with shaking hands, but I pulled them back. Not yet. His eyes widened. I'm giving you two choices, I continued. He swallowed hard, pale, silent. Choice one, I go to the police tomorrow morning with all of this evidence. I press charges. You face theft, breaking and entering, and fraud. Lily will see the truth in the most painful way possible. He flinched as if I had slapped him. Choice two, I said, lowering the folder but keeping my gaze sharp. You sign these papers, pack your things, tell my daughter the marriage is over. Cleanly, swiftly, without blaming her, and you never come back. His voice cracked. No jail, he whispered. No jail, I confirmed, and no public shame. If you walk away now, it ends quietly. He stared at the papers again, his breath shaking so violently he looked like he might collapse. How do I know you won't change your mind? Because, I said with cold certainty, I am not you. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then, slowly, painfully, he reached for the pen on my nightstand. His fingers hovered over the signature line. He hesitated. Please, he whispered again, one last pathetic plea. Can't we work something out? I leaned in, so close he could feel the warmth of my breath. We are working something out, I said. This is mercy, much more than you deserve. He looked at the pen, then at the evidence, then at me. And finally, asterisk, he signed. Asterisk, the room felt lighter instantly. He placed the pen down like it weighed 1,000 pounds. His shoulders sagged. His eyes stared blankly at the papers, as if he couldn't believe what he had just done. It's over, I said. He nodded numbly. You'll pack tonight. I added, you'll tell Lily tomorrow that the marriage isn't working. You don't blame her. You don't blame me. You don't blame anyone. You walk out quietly. He nodded again. And Mark, I said softly. He looked up, eyes red, defeated. If you ever step foot in this house again or try to manipulate Lily, the police will get every piece of this folder. His lips pressed together in a hopeless line. He left my house that night without another word, his head lowered, his pride crushed, his lies unraveled. When the door closed behind him, I sank into the rocking chair and finally let the tears fall. Not because I regretted it, but because justice always hurts, even when it's deserved. Asterisk, the morning after asterisk, telling Lily was the hardest part. She cried, she trembled. She apologized for things she didn't do. She collapsed into my arms, heartbroken, but relieved that she finally understood the weight she had been carrying for months. Thank you, Mom, she whispered, voice cracking, for protecting me even from the person I loved. I kissed her forehead. That's what mothers do. Asterisk, epilogue. A quiet victory, asterisk, Mark never returned. He never fought. He never argued. He knew better. And in the weeks that followed, my home felt warm again, safe again. Whole again. The sweetest revenge wasn't in the confrontation, the trap, or even the evidence. No, the sweetest revenge was peace. Silence, freedom, and the knowledge that he will never forget the night he looked into the eyes of the woman he underestimated, and realized she was far stronger than he ever imagined.